Welcome to Subramani. I'm going to talk to you about reducing risk rather than improving return, because I think market is reasonably well priced, or maybe fully priced. I don't know. You have to take your call. And please remember, I will contradict myself. I can do two videos, one saying why you should do index investing and why you should not do index investing. I have very little money in Indian indices. I have money in foreign indices. So in India, I believe I can be an active investor. In foreign markets, I believe I should be an index investor, because I have no clue how that market behaves. So I have put my money in a fund which allocates between different countries, so that it is very tax efficient for me, and I can look at it after 10 years, where the fund manager will decide whether to put in Japan or in Taiwan or in China or in US. I left that to him. And I am doing it tax efficiently, at least as of today, because there is no capital gains tax for switching, right? So sorry, that is a digression. So having said that, even in equity funds, you have to decide what is your comfort level. So the first thing normally people look at is the PE rating or the price to book, depending on the company which you are looking at, or even when you are looking at a fund. Now here is my P with star ranking, star rating, or star ranking. When you look at two funds, one with a return of 18% and one with a return of 17%, and the one with 17% is actually has a PE of 14, and the one which is at 18 has a PE of 23. In this market, I would choose the fund with a PE of 14 or 15 rather than a fund with a PE of 22, 23. Not that 22, 23 is bad or good, but it means that company, that fund with a lower PE is taking lesser risk to achieve the same return. So don't just go by the ranking, because the ranking for the fund getting 18% is very likely to be higher than the fund which is getting 17% return. That's how the ranking works. So need to understand that this is a great time to be reducing risk. Either reduce from risk by getting into multi-asset kind of funds for your clients, or get from equity to debt for your own self. I'm more equity and cash kind of a person, not so much of a multi-asset person. I have some gold, but not worth talking about. So you choose what to do, right? Don't get carried away, and it takes tremendous amount of discipline to take money out of out of companies and funds where you're doing well. My recent run up in Tata Motors, Maruti Suzuki, Happiest Minds, and Automotive Axles, all these companies have got a very good run up. Apollo Hospital, I'm completely out of Apollo Hospital now, but I'm still there in Fortis. So it requires tremendous amount of discipline to keep selling a little bit and moving into cash, not because you think it can't go up. It may go up. All these shares might go up. All these shares which I've mentioned will go up. These are just examples that I am giving you of shares in my portfolio which I am selling, because I think I want some cash. I need to sit on some cash which I will use to buy something else when the market falls, or if and when it falls. I don't mind moving from some of these shares to some things which are more dividend oriented, like Coal India, etc., where I know I'll get good dividends and there is less downside than it's there in the other shares. Of course, it is possible that Coal India comes down and these shares go up. I'm fine with these shares going up. It does not really matter to me. I'll move it into cash. I have enough of them that I need to sell a little bit and keep the cash ready. So you also need to decide on your own asset allocation or on your own risk profile. And it is important to take money out of markets which are doing well. Let me repeat, it is important to take money out of markets which are doing well. So if you think the US market is doing well, maybe it's time to remove some money. Maybe it is not. If you have like me, if you have an insignificant portion in the US market compared to your total portfolio, you may not pull it out. But then you may see that Japan has given 10% return over the last 1 year. So maybe there is some upside in Japan or Taiwan or any of those things. Or you go for an international fund, or you shift from a small cap for Indian fund to a mid cap, or from a mid cap to a large cap. whatever it is, keep reviewing and understand that there is risk in all kinds of investing. Even in the bonds there is in the risk, there is risk in gold, there is risk in everything. But creating a slightly bigger multi-asset portfolio, which includes your real estate, your gold, your debt instruments, maybe buying an annuity, maybe investing in GSECs. The 2050 GSEC is today at I think it's available at par, and it is 6.99% interest yield. Not bad at all for a person paying tax, but for a person not paying income tax, there is always the GSEC fund into which you can, I do an SIP into a GSEC fund, right? So I know I'm going to take fluctuations, but I can afford to take it. I take fluctuations in equity, I'll take fluctuation in debt. There it is more to protect my money. I'm not trying to pull that money out to invest in equities when it is just to create it's just part of my asset allocation that I've started a small SIP in a gilt fund. I have done a video saying how the US markets will keep going up. I've also done a video on why the US markets are likely to crash in January, right? So we are already in January. Now this is a person called Harry Dent. You can see the video. It would come. You may have already seen it. So right, so these kind of contradictory moves are there, but you also have to understand that if Apple is available at a P of 30, Amazon is available at a P of 87, repeat 87, if Netflix is available at a P in excess of 50, and you're buying into that, you have to understand how the whole thing has to work. Yes, Amazon has got pricing power. Yes, Netflix may have pricing power. Yes, Apple has the amazing array of new products. Yes, Warren Buffett holds a very big chunk of it, but please understand that Buffett also offsets all this with holding a huge amount of cash. How many of us who want to copy Buffett are willing to sit on huge amounts of cash, maybe 15%, 20% of your portfolio in cash, and wait for the right pitch to happen, right? If you don't have the patience of Rahul Dravid, don't expect the standard deviation of a Rahul Dravid. You will also hit your 4s and 6s. Yes, you will be bold. But if you don't have the patience to leave balls outside the off stump, it is very difficult to get an average and the standard deviation of a Rahul Dravid over long periods of time. That is what is important, right? Over long periods of time. Last 1 year, I think everybody has got excess in returns in excess of 25%, which is fantastic, especially if you're an older investor and you have a reasonable amount of money in equities. If you're 22 years of age and you have got 10,000 rupees in equities, 22% return would mean 2,000 rupees, which is not really much. But if you're an older investor and you have 10 crores in equities and you got a 20% return, it means you got 2 crores 20 lakhs, right? That is huge. So depending on a lot of things, your portfolio has to change from time to time. International allocation, index funds, active funds, multi-asset funds, right? You have to do a combination, do your asset allocation, view equity as something which is a part of asset, of your total asset allocation. It is the best asset class for a long-term perspective, but it is not a great asset class for a short-term perspective. Unfortunately, there are too many gurus today on social media saying if you have a 5-year view, you should be in equity. Yes, if you have a 5-year view, you should be in equity at a much lower level. At the current levels, I would think for you to be in equity, you have to have a 10-year view. If you do very well in 5 years, remove your money by all means, but come with a 10-year view. Don't come with a 3-year view, because your relationship manager will say, sir, 3 साल तो long term है, आप equity में डाल सकते हो. Perfectly all right, but not at this price, not at these market levels. Like I said, at 87 when you're buying Amazon, you need to understand that the growth has to be fabulous. When people start looking at Amazon and say, oh, look, wait a minute, there are other websites which are offering better prices. Why should I go to Amazon? Or people go to the vendor directly in Amazon and ask him, what price will you give me if I buy it without the Amazon thing, right? So it is a funny country. It's a funny world. There is no reason why people should. There are guys who sell on Amazon just for publicity, and afterwards they will call you and say, look, this is available at this price. So people are establishing that kind of a thing. So what happens if the PE changes? What happens if the greatest skill of a Hindustan Lever or a Colgate was in the distribution that they set up, but the distribution is being challenged by by an Amazon, or the fact that DMart is able to get such thin margins. What happens if DMart launches its own brand of let's say starting with phenol, then going to shampoo and soap and whatever? What will it get damaged, right? Will the PE of the Colgates and the HUL get damaged, and will the PE of DMart and Amazon go up? I have no answers, but you have to see, you have to find your own questions, find your own answers, and based on that do your risk profiling, your asset allocation, and learn to have patience in this market, because it's a market which is going to demand a lot of meditative powers and a lot of patience, and that patience, my dear friends, can't be taught. It has to be learned. Thank you.